All right, welcome everybody. Top of the hour. I hope you're having a great day. Thank you so much all too for the replies and responses from day one. Let me just actually add something here too. Yesterday, for those who did fill out the survey, there is a survey as soon as you log off. Yesterday we had 100, we got a 100 net promoter score. Thank you. For everybody who filled out the survey, thank you so much. For those who know what net promoter score is, you know how hard it is to get 100.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you. This session is all about turn on the damn camera now, right? That's right, Donna? I mean, seriously.
Yep.
And the funny part is, actually, I did put this class out, and the National Park Service asked to teach this class to them. And somebody did come back to that and took offense at the word damn. Right, and they had to send a mail, and like, I'm not sure if I can go to this class if you're going to use the word damn. And so, you know, it's I just want to make sure we clarify the joke. Number one is that I mean, it's not really swearing. I hope so. Hopefully, you won't take offense at it. And number two is that the wrong yeah, show yourself. Thank you, Cindy. Is that it's absolutely the wrong way to get everybody to turn on the damn cameras by leaning into your mic and saying, turn on the damn camera. Right? It's like the wrong, like it's the first initial gut thing that you have in you is like run, right, and turn off your camera. And so again, I thank you for being here. We're in day 2, but let's just check out this part. Here's a poll for you. How safe do you feel? How safe do you feel in this meeting? 10 is the most, 1 is the least. It's whatever your rating is. So let's just take a moment to do that. And that's really, because this is a class not about how to turn on your damn camera. It's not a class how to force other people to turn on the damn camera, right? This class is really around an amazing topic that I discovered. It's so important that it got moved from the appendix in my book when we were editing it, moved all the way to chapter 3. And by the way, if you have my book, and I know you might not read the whole thing, I can tell you this. The book was to be designed, you're going to get 80% of the value if you can just read the first 3 chapters. And if you're here with me yesterday, the chapter 1 is engage. No brainer, okay? And chapter 2 is how to apply it. And chapter 3 is really around this topic that I'm going to bring on here. Let's take a look at this. So I'm going to end the poll in 3, 2, 1. And now, can anybody share what they think of these results? If you want to just share something, just again, unmute or just raise your hand. Love to hear, what do you think of these results? Now let's go to Mary. Thank you, Mary.
I'm amazed that so many people put down 10s. I think that's really amazing after this amount of time that people have 10s.
What's your usual impression, or what do you experience in other virtual meetings, Mary?
Well, it takes time, and the content is directly, you know, kind of like our first presenter did. I mean, we kind of swam in the baby pool, and then, you know, we kept getting deeper, and so, you know, that trust level. You know, so depending on what we're sharing, I feel very, you know, I don't have a lot of secrets, and they're not really that exciting. So, yeah, that's what surprised me, that already, you know, talking about concrete ideas, we're already at, most people are at 10s.
Perfect. Thank you, Mary. Yeah, again, these numbers are quite high. You can see our average is around 9 or so, maybe 8.99 or so. Anybody else? I'd love to hear anybody else's feedback or what they think about this survey or questions they have. Who else would like to contribute? Let's go to Anne. Go ahead, Anne.
Just curious why some people said 4 or 5. Is it because it's being recorded or some other reason?
So I know the 4s and 5s, again, if you might not want to say anything, that's fine. If you'd like to private chat me, I'll keep it anonymous if you would like to, but Anne is curious. Let's go to Elizabeth, Elizabeth Razug. Am I saying that right? I need to hear your last name, Elizabeth.
Well, I don't even say it right. It's Razug.
Okay, great. I will mispronounce it incorrectly with you. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
It's all good. I guess I've done most every meeting since. I've been the lucky one, I guess, because since COVID started and since things flipped to Zoom, every meeting I've done has been interactive and engaging. So I'm at the 100% level of I must always have the great people around me because this is awesome. I was more interested, and of course I rated it at 10. I don't mind saying that to anybody because I feel, there's 40 people on here and I feel like I would call any one of you tomorrow for anything because I feel like those are the communities we build together. And if you didn't want to be here, you wouldn't be spending 5 days trying to connect. So that's it for me. The odd part for me might be the streaming. The live streaming part kind of bugs me a bit, but I'm ignoring that part. I would be more interested to see what could be improved to make people feel safer.
Oh, and that's a good part. And Elizabeth, I appreciate that. Would you like me to stop live streaming? Because specifically in this course, that is actually one of the moves, which is to not live stream. We held a happy hour every Friday at 5 o'clock. And by the way, you're all invited. And it has the highest level of psychological safety in all our meetings that we have. And the reason why, one of the reasons why, is that we don't live stream it and we do not record it. So I'm actually open to not live streaming it. I would like to record it because all of you who are attendees, right, you have access, especially the VIPs will have access to this recording. So Elizabeth, would that make you more comfortable?
No, I'm actually thankful it's being recorded. The live streaming part, I just don't know. Like you guys, I can at least see pictures or names. I don't know who's watching the other one, but it's all good. I'll get there.
Okay, anybody else? You can feel free to private chat me yes or no, and I'll make a determination on that. Because if it will benefit you, I'll do it. Why? Because I like you people. All right, so meanwhile, while I watch for responses for that, let's do this. So thank you for those responses. Here's the real reason, what this real topic of this course is. So how many of you have read Google's Aristotle's research project? All right, just raise your hand. Anybody? One? Two? Oh, thank goodness. All right, the two people I know, Donna and Karen, okay. So yeah, Google did all this research and they took 18 months and they studied what is the key common characteristics of high-performing teams. And they thought, is it the equipment we give them? Is it the composition of the team? Is it just the leader they put on the team? Is it the equipment they buy them, right? All these things. And it turned out none of those things were the right things. And what happened is that they found 5 things. So let me go through those 5 things with you. And this is great. Again, if you're a manager, right, or you're on any team and you want to have a high-performing team, these things are valid. But this number 1 topic really has captured me over the last 19 months. And it's the one thing that I think is going to take your virtual meetings to the next level. And that's this right here. Number 5 is impact, right? Team members, there we go. So team impact. So team members think that their work matters and creates change. Okay, so impact. Number 4, meaning. And again, we design our virtual meetings like with these same parts, right? We hope that we're having an impact on you, right? We're hoping that you're gaining meaning, that this virtual meeting is personally important to you. So that this meeting says work is personally important to team members. All right, number 3 is structure and clarity. Team members have clear roles, plans, and goals, right? If you don't have these, teams are unhappy. Number 2 is dependability, that team members get things done on time and meet Google's or your company's high bar of excellence. But here's the number 1, psychological safety. Psychological safety. So does anybody here in the room might know or like to describe what they think psychological safety is? If you do, just raise your hand, unmute. Let's go to Anne.
We can say what we feel without being criticized or think.
Yeah, say what you feel without being criticized. So if I read the definition on this one, it says, team members feel safe to take risks and be vulnerable with each other. Thank you so much for that, Anne. So that's really the key. What I love to tell people is psychological safety is the thing that I'm building in this invisible box from the moment I met you, whether it was on this conference, or as a virtual meeting, like a one-on-one meeting, or one of my other classes, right? I'm really striving for that. And so that comes from everything that we do. And so what I'd like to do is share 10 ways to do that today. And it's one now that I love. It's my favorite superhero. This superhero's name is Captain Win, right? So if you want to write down Captain Win, then you'll see what the 10 points are. Some of these too, you saw that we really really put inside of our conference here, and that we even focused literally a whole day on it yesterday, and that's connection before content, bringing back Michelle's. And by the way, how many of you loved Michelle's content as well as her gifts, right? Just a show of hands, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, it's amazing too. She's giving those tools away, and I love that they're like not added. There's not ads on them, and that's something that's gonna allow me to use those tools and put them in rotation. She gave us this quote from Peter Block, right? And it says, "We must establish a personal connection with each other. Connection before content. Without relatedness, no work can occur." Right? I'd just love to see anybody who's going to start their meetings early, right? Just chat early in the chat box. I'd love to see if that's one of the things you're going to adapt from this conference. The second, the A in Captain Win, is air traffic control. As you can tell, as a professional MC and moderator, that I'm doing my best at all the times to figure out how can we get it so that one person can talk. Also, how can we do things so that you know when to talk, right? That's one of the weird things about here on virtual, is that a lot of times people don't know, when is it my turn? And then sometimes everybody's staring at each other going, I don't want to be that person talking over somebody. And so air traffic control is one of those ways that can really help that. And as the host of a meeting, it can help you feel safe in a meeting. So how many of you have ever not felt safe in a meeting where one or more people talked over everybody? Right? Let's see, just show of hands or virtual hands. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So quite a few. It's again that talking over. If you're the host and you allow it, it's kind of like allowing a form of bullying, right? Verbal bullying, which is, you know, like Elizabeth about to say something and I jump over her, right? And if somebody doesn't stop and say, "John, would you please allow Elizabeth to go?" Then you can go next. It's as simple as that. That air traffic control helps to create another level of safety. So for those of you who host meetings, those are skills that you can practice, right? And especially the other hard one is cutting off, right? How do you cut off somebody who's also maybe your boss, somebody who's important, right? And who has talked clearly too long in a meeting. And so those are challenges, but those are definitely things that you can help all the rest of the attendees in a meeting, help them feel safe. All right, the next one is this. Participate, right? So participate. Let's do this too. I'd love to, some of my friends here I know don't have your camera on, and that doesn't mean, that's totally fine by me. I would love somebody who doesn't have the camera on to just, you can unmute your mic and just let me know, you know, what are you getting from your time here? What's something that's been important to you? So somebody who is, again, not on camera, can you unmute your mic and just say your name?
Why do you want music?
Oh,
Tyler.
Oh, hi, Tyler and Lazio. Hopefully I got that right. I'm still working on that. Lazio, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello, John.
Hello, how's it going today?
Going very well. How about you?
Very good. Were you here this morning or did you just join us?
Yeah, I joined when Lisa Rothstein was speaking, and I just caught the tail end of that.
Yes, and what's something that you got?
I really like Gil's presentation in terms of just especially talking about building community when you're trying to send out a message or do a presentation consistently. Is just having that community around you because you can't do it alone. And I really like the part where he allowed a lot of people to speak and share their stories and kind of created a platform. So it was a community journey in itself. And so I really, really like that. And I'm definitely going to be utilizing that moving forward.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And, you know, see, that's sometimes the assumption we make is that if their camera's off, that they're not engaged. But did you just, I mean, listen to what he got. He got something even deeper than I got out of this. So as the host or the speaker in a meeting, you should not make that assumption, right? You should look for the different ways that people can participate. And I know Joan Eisenstadt is usually on here with us. Oh, good. She is here. And she knows this too, which is she cares a lot about diversity. And she also knows that there are two new lines of diversity. And one is how much technology you have, right? Sometimes, you know, you're in rural locations. Again, one of the examples is you may only have your phone line. So as the facilitator or the speaker, you need to look and make sure you're not having a preference only for people with cameras on. Like, how can you reach out to the other people? And the second one is how well do you know how to use that technology? What I love is my very good friend, Debbie Ann from New York. She has a stepmother who has a $3,000 computer with this amazing neon edge, and she has no idea how to use it. And so and you have to think about that, and you have to consider that, and that's, how can you make it safe for those people of all different kinds and places going on there. So there's participate. The next one is this. The T in Captain Win is there is always a way. If you've ever participated in our karaoke on Saturday at 7 o'clock, you'll know that we don't, no matter what setup you have, we'll figure it out. And we'll take the time to set it out. And people feel natural anxiety. They're like, oh, I don't want to take all the time. You're spending too much time on me. My stuff is not set. And we're always trying to put people at ease going, no, it's totally fine. And especially if we know all the other singers. The other ones all remember when they were there first too. And so, for instance, one of the big challenges is a Chromebook. Has anybody ever logged into Zoom on a Chromebook? Raise your hand. Elizabeth, there we go. Yeah, oh, Kendall. And it's different. It has a different set of features, and you should know that. And so eventually, some of the settings that we talk about aren't there, but we eventually figured out a way. So T is there is always a way. If you come with the attitude as a host, there's always a way for you to participate. Again, if your audio doesn't work, that's fine. Go to the chat, right? And so if your audio is not working but your camera is, right? Use those use a sign. So again, those of you who got the sign here, I've had to do this before, which is I had somebody who hasn't gotten here. I've written on here, go to chat. Yeah, there you go. I got hearts from Ann. Thank you so much. And so we put that on there and look for the different ways. And if you come with this attitude as a host, there's always a way. I believe that's really a key part. The next one is this, is acknowledgement, right? So let's go ahead and do this. So let's do acknowledgement. Why don't you take a moment now and chat an acknowledgement to either one of our two speakers, Lisa and Gil, or anybody else here who has helped you or that you have met, maybe in a breakout room yesterday, right? Maybe Donna who helped you out. Of course, Donna shipped all the boxes, so if you got a box, you could say thanks. So let's go ahead and again, use their name saying, who do you want to thank? Thank you, fill in the blank. And that would be in the chat room. So here, I'll follow along with you. Thank you, Donna and Karen, for all you do. By the way, like Donna and Karen too, we took probably easily, an individual probably took at least 30 to 40 hours to plan for this if you attended some or all of the planning meetings, and they were there. Perfect, like this. Cindy said, Gil, your energy is infectious and totally inspires me. Thank you, great. Lisa said, thank you. John, for being you. Thank you, Lisa Weisner. Good to see you. Kendall said, Donna, you rock. Classic rock, right, by the way, Donna. Dida said, thank you, John, for making this event accessible. I'm learning so much. Yes, yeah, I can't wait for you to meet Samantha Evans, of course. Anne said, nice to meet Kendall in person. We both play ukulele. That's right. Kendall's taking ukulele lessons from my sister Ruth, who is here today too, on camera. Hi, Ruth. And Marlene, thanks, Donna. I received my box. So it's as simple as that, right? Acknowledgement. So if you want that, one of the easiest things you can do as the host, if you ask for somebody to answer a question, right, just say thank you and use their name. Thank you, Donna, right? Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Anne. Right? Thank you, Charlotte. Anybody who's contributed to that. And it sounds simple, but I can tell you that it's a reinforcement that once you do it, more people are likely to contribute, whether it's by chat or in person. So here's the last one. Has anybody ever asked a question and have it just fall flat? All you got was crickets. Oh, is that, Mary, is that you? Yeah, okay, Mary. Let's see. Mary, what's one of the questions that you've asked that you've had fall flat?
I can't remember. I've blocked it in my mind.
Okay, so why don't we do this? Mary, can you ask the group, right? Can you remember a time like when you asked a question and it fell flat?
Mm-hmm. Well, I did some.
Oh, no, wait, Mary, I apologize. I want you to ask the group. I want you to ask the group. Is there
a question and that will fall flat?
Yeah, ask the group. Have they ever asked a question and it fell flat?
Oh, have you ever asked a question and it fell flat? I see some smiles, but most of them are pretty good.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Mary, for that, because so one of the key pieces here is that I've discovered is the way that you ask, the I in Captain Win is for invitations. This is one of the most important things out of the 10 I'm going to teach. Okay? And I discovered it about month 12 into pandemic. And I was coaching a set of 6 people that were going to host breakout rooms. And they were very new in the company for leadership roles. Right? And so they were asking questions like this. Can you remember a time when you asked a question and it fell flat? No? All right, good. I'm going to move on. Now, some of you, of course, in your heads were starting to go like, okay, I think I'm trying to remember a time, right? And then if you get cut off, right, this is the same thing as the example we gave at the beginning, which is, let's just wait a minute here for the others to log on, right? It just tells you to not log on early. And so the way that this question goes, the same thing, it just cuts off. So what happens in my brain, I go, oh, you really don't want to know the answer. So I'm actually not going to think about it. So I'm just going to be lazy in this class. So now I'm not going to participate. And I've even gone so far as turn off my camera, right? Because I'm just like, oh, it's going to be one of these classes. I'm fine. As opposed to, this is what I call the invitation. So if you write one thing down from this is invitation. The invitation is how you ask your questions greatly increases or reduces the odds that somebody will answer. And let me tell you, again, you're not in control of it, which is fine, but I can tell you that these techniques will definitely do this. So now I'm actually asking the question for real, just so you know. And if you have an answer to it, I would love to hear that. So the first part is again, the question. I would love to hear a time. Does anybody have a time when they asked a question, right, and it fell completely flat? And so if you have one of those, could you just unmute or could you raise your physical or virtual hand? I would love to hear what that experience was like. Again, you can raise your physical hand, your virtual hand, or you can just unmute.
I'll do it.
Oh, great. So Naomi's here. Now, Naomi, let me bring you up, but let me just make sure I give the last pieces on here, right? One is you ask the question and make it an interesting question. 2 is tell specifically how to participate. So I said unmute or raise a physical or a virtual hand. So that's these choices. So people specifically know how to do it. And then the third thing, which is really hard for a lot of people, is be comfortable with silence. Be comfortable with silence. So those are the things that I did. And you see Naomi naturally came up here. So Naomi, thank you so much for coming up here. It's so good to see you. I haven't seen you in so long.
Good to see you too. So you want me to tell you when was the time that okay.
Please.
So one of the things that I already know where my mistake is that I just asked, does anyone have any questions? So naturally, we're like, yes or no, and they don't engage. And being comfortable with silence was my other thing, because I wanted to prompt people to answer, I started kind of giving them ideas on what questions they can ask. And I think I overloaded them. So just giving them examples of questions that they could share. So that's mine.
And what were you trying to get originally here, Naomi? Like, what were you trying to get out of the group at this time of the program?
So we were reviewing, let's say, a vendor and reviewing a presentation. So it was trying to get them to ask questions about what was being presented and their opinions about that product.
So how would you change the question now, like, just as an example?
Probably would ask, can someone share how they would feel this product could be useful for them? And then providing a way for them to do that. Unmute yourself and feel free to share.
Perfect. Let's give a round of applause for Naomi. It's good to see you, Naomi.
Thank you.
Yeah, if there's one thing you get out of this is your invitation. When you design your virtual programs, really pay attention to when you ask a question to do this. And just know the first one is the hardest, right? But the other ones are will become easier. So like what Gil said is like you gain momentum with each one of these. Dida, do you have something else that you'd like to add?
I could also answer that question if you want. But I am leading a committee, and I'll start with my mistake is that I put it together and I wanted a lot of diversity in perspective. So now I ended up with 12 people who are very diverse in their perspective. So it's whenever I ask a question, nobody says anything. And it's a little bit of what we talked yesterday with the bystander effect. Like there's too many for someone to have the courage to answer. Initially, I think I was asking too broad of questions. And so I think I like thinking of how I could do it differently. We haven't met. We met last time was the summer, and I have to restart this committee. So I'm thinking of going more focused questions and also maybe doing the rounds, because the other thing that happens is that there's only like 3 or 4 who are very vocal, and then I don't hear from everyone else.
Yeah. Well, perfect. Okay, good. Well, now you have some new ideas, right? Thank you so much, Daita. Everyone, let's give a little round of applause for Daita. Okay, good. So let's continue on. I want to make sure that we get through our superhero, Captain Win. So the next one that we have here is this, something, of course, that we've made famous here. That's the no sorry zone. And hey, if you have your no sorry zone, if you got a kit, right, hold up your paddle. I know I get green screened on mine, but oh, let me come back to gallery here. Hold on a second. 3, 2, 1. All right, let's see all these no sorry zones. There we go. Holy cow, Donna, we have never seen this many no sorry zone signs, right? So thank you all for that. Somebody who knows the no sorry zone or understands the no sorry zone, could you please help us describe what that is? You can even just read the back of the paddle. Tina, would you? Oh, good. Let's bring up Tina. Hold on a second, Tina. And okay. Hi, Tina Mitchell. How are you?
Hello. So people say I'm sorry all the time. That makes it just worse. Like if you make a mistake on a presentation or something, or and also one really quick shout out that I mentioned in my coaching course. And you actually get dialogue and scripts from certain coaches on this. When you're calling a past client that you haven't contact with it for 5 years, the beginning of the dialogue is, I'm so sorry I haven't been in contact with you. Worst thing to do. Instead, just say, oh my gosh, I was thinking about you and I wanted to connect with you. Such a different result.
Yeah. So yes, and I'll read the sign here. Thank you so much for that, Tina. And again, Tina cares so much about relationships. That's how she achieved one of her big goals. She's one of the top 200 mortgage brokers in the country. And it's all about relationships. And so we invented this in April of 2020. And it says here in the text, if you can't see it, I'm sorry is not necessary, because we're all doing the best that we can. And what I saw in like March and April of 2020, you probably saw it too, people were logging on and they were having all sorts of problems. I can't get my camera to work, can't get my mic to work, right? I've got a bad connection, I'm glitching, blah, blah, blah. And we just said, you know what, you don't have to apologize here, right? Because we're all doing the best that we can, even if everything's not working. And what I saw that it did is that everybody relaxed. Everybody started to, like, again, a lot of this online stuff gives us anxiety in multiple dimensions, whether it's from seeing yourself on the camera or not having your tech work or, whatever it is for you. And so this was one piece that we thought we could do. And my good friend Kathy Armias, who spoke last year, she helped create this graphic with it. And it's really helped us. It's so funny now, the people who are in my groups and know the culture, as soon as somebody says sorry, like I don't have to do it anymore, they stop. They're like, whoa, 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 right? Karen's got her handmade no sorry zone 2 sign. Usually it's handwritten, but now she's got the actual sign. And it's something that allows people, again, you want people to feel comfortable in your virtual meetings. If you take, for those of you, especially a lot of my friends in the meetings industry, if you just take your hospitality pieces and bring it here, you'll see that that will help also in your virtual meetings, which leads us to the W. The W here in Captain Win, of course, is the welcoming. So it's welcome. So again, the first thing that you do is make sure and welcome people all through. Even if you come in late, you'll see me. Like I'm chatting to people, right? Hi, Tyler. What's up, Marnie? And like even something personal. Hi, Kendall. I see you have your patch off. That's the stuff that people come in and they're like, you what? And like I'm speaking at the same time. So people are like, I don't get it. How's he doing that? And it's really important to me. It's important to me. And if you create this welcoming environment, I think you'll see the rewards for it too, which is people will look forward to coming to your virtual meeting. They might dread somebody else's, but they'll look forward to coming to yours and they'll be attentive and they'll be energized knowing that they're going to be engaged, right? So welcoming. Speaking of that, the I, And I had to draw a brain today, so shout out to Lisa. I have to, let me see if I can actually, oh wait, here we go. This is my brain. So this, remember, right? So this is like if you do things that are, in the I here we're talking about is impactful, is that you only do the things you remember. You only adopt the practices that you're inspired by. And I hope that, again, that here we give you like almost 20 hours of education. And my goal is that you just take one away. You know, like Tina, who I've gotten a chance to meet, she hasn't taken one, by the way, right? She's probably taken about 14 or 15 or 16 or more. And I love that. You know, because like let's take motivational seminars for a minute, right? Which is like a lot of people get jacked up and then they put it on the shelf. And then they come home and they go right back to being where they are. And so to me, is if you make your virtual meeting impactful, that it's going to make a difference in somebody's life. Somebody's investing their valuable time in your virtual meeting. Your gift back to them is to make it impactful. So look for all the different ways. Let's do this. Go into the chat and chat me some of the ways that virtual meetings in the past have been impactful for you. It could be knowledge, it could be an inspiration, it could be quotes. So let's see, I just want to see what are the different ways that virtual meetings are impactful for you. Because then the last thing that, of course, is really impactful is the N in Captain Win is for names. Right? One of the best ways to truly connect with a prospect is to remember their name and use it in conversation. You know, Tyler did that. Tyler had this whole chat about, look, I think Gil, as soon as he came on, he talked about Lisa, right? He talked about somebody else. He used names like that. So that's why you'll hear me do this all the time. You know, things like this. I know Manon's here. Thank you, Manon. Good to see you. I love that Nikki is here, right? Dida asked a question, and of course my sister Ruth. You know, I love it. All my sisters are here, by the way. We won't talk about my brothers, but my sisters are all here, and that's really. I'm excited for that. By the way, it was my brother's birthday yesterday, so if you want, you can chat happy birthday. But look at how simple that is. And you know this in your own work, like in person, if you just do something and remember somebody's name. On virtual, it's even that last piece here that makes you, you know, feel so much more connected, like Jeff Evans, right? Who's going to show you some magic here very soon. What's up, Jeff? So, you know, things like that. Do you see how easy it is to put that inside? And all you got to do is be noticing. Because one of the hardest parts here, too, is like have the technological setup to see these things. Like if you lost your chat, if you lost the gallery, if you lost a lot of these things, you can't pay attention to them. And if you can't do it, by the way, there's somebody who can, right? So Karen, of course, here, if Karen could chat our latest guest who came in. And our latest guest is an amazing person. And thank you, latest guest, for allowing us to stay at your house. That was one of the, it was like the worst time and the best time, because we didn't want to leave because we were getting prepped for this conference, but we took 3 days off and had no technology at your house. Everybody unmute and say hi, Brigitte.
Hi, Brigitte.
Hi, Brigitte.
Hi, Brigitte.
Hi, Brigitte.
So good.
I'm sorry I'm late.
Oh no, go back, everybody. Go back.
I am sorry.
No, sorry.
I know we're not supposed to say it, but I am, because I really wanted to be here, but I'm still teaching online. So I was not able to get here until now. I am owning it.
Oh, well, thank you so much for that, Brigitte. I appreciate that. And of course, you know, here it's not required. Because Brigitte's always, she's doing the best that she can too. Oh my gosh, she's teaching people all around the world.
Yep.
From her place on the island. So the last piece I want to do here with our remaining time is all of you want to know, how can we take our virtual meetings and go deeper, right? So I have this acronym DEEPER, all right? And so if you want to go deeper, you got to go first, right? And the second one is experiment. Look for new things that you can try to bring things that are deeper, right? Things that will help you go deeper are to do things that are emotional. Right? The P in deeper says also you can think about different ways to perform. So you can use spoken word poetry or music or other types of things. The E is for exposed. And so lead by vulnerability. I think we heard about this a little bit yesterday. But lead with some vulnerability. And then R is for rooms. Right? Number one, the most engaging tool that we have is audio video. We turn it on and it works. The second most engaging tool is chat, because everybody can talk at the same time. But the third most engaging tool are breakout rooms. And so for this breakout room, I'm going to share with you this exercise, which I have performed with executive teams now multiple times over the last 19 months. I can tell you it still works. It's from my good friend Patrick Lencioni, who I actually got to be his producer in a virtual meeting. Well, I think I told you I sold book number 6,300. He actually just recently sold book number 7 million. He wrote a very great book, and it's called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. Is probably one of his most famous books. And his number one exercise to go deeper is to do this. Share a childhood story, right? That will deepen the conversation. So we're going to do an 8-minute breakout. And I believe we're going to be in pairs. Karen, give me a thumbs up. Good. If you are in a pair, allow people to move, Karen. So make sure and click the buttons to allow people to move. If you happen to be in a room where somebody is not talking, you can move yourself. And then share a childhood story. You'll take about 4 minutes to share one and 4 minutes to share the other. Make sure everyone can talk. But it should sound something like this. Like one of my challenging childhood stories was that I got picked on. I was Asian in a town that was 90+% white. That was all about, it was all about, like the 4-H club is one of the biggest 4-H clubs in all of California. And I got picked on by a guy on a bus, right? But I had to do one thing, right? So this is kind of a little bit of a anti-bully thing. Maybe it's a guy thing. But one day I actually know some martial arts, and I know how to use nunchucks, right? I actually brought a pair with me. I probably shouldn't have done that, but I did. And when he got off the bus, he tried to pick on me again, right? And I brought these out, and it was a little bit like a Bruce Lee type of thing. And after going through a bit of a demo for that and said, come on, bring it on, he said, I'll pass, and walked away. And of course, he never picked on me again. And so I know it's challenging. It's not the way we want to solve all problems, but I do know this, that if you stand up to a bully, and again, Zoom bombing is one of the other ways that I've done it. People have seen it. If you stand up to the Zoom bomber, in fact, I'm the only person I think I know that has reverse Zoom bomb a Zoom bomber. We'll talk about that later. That if you stand up, that you will also create a safe environment. You're saying, I'm going to make it here. As your producer, I'll do what it takes to make it safe for you. So that's the childhood story. So with that, take your 8 minutes, and we'll come back and we'll close up here with this. But I really hope that you make a connection, and most importantly, get an example of deepening the conversation. Share a childhood story. So in Karen, let's do this in 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, Bridget, you're with us. Does Bridget have any challenging childhood stories? You had the most sparkling childhood of all time, I know.
I don't know about that. Challenging or just a story?
Any childhood story you want to share.
So it doesn't have to be challenging?
No.
Okay. So one of my earliest memories, I like those stories because we usually don't have them until we're like 4-ish. So one of my earliest memories, I was in Switzerland and I was with my aunt. And she wanted to take me to the opera because she was an opera singer. And so we went to see the Snow Queen. And I don't know if you know that old story, but it was all about this Snow Queen that had this beautiful white dress on that was all glittery. And as she walked over the snow that came down, she's the one that leaves the sparkles there. So it was an explanation of why snow is sparkly. And the most precious thing was when we left the opera and started to walk home, it began to snow.
Aww.
So one of my earliest memories is the sparkling snow and how I was walking with my aunt after we saw the Snow Queen.
Genius. Thank you, Bridget. All right, I know we have some other people with us. We've got Marnie, Mary, and Diana with us. If you'd like to go, feel free. Mary's here. Hi, Mary.
Hi, John.
Yes, you have
some echo.
Mary, you'll have to turn off the audio. Disconnect the audio from your other 2 computers. Right? Or turn the volume down because you have a 3 in here. There we go. Okay, if one of them are back on, then let's see, try it back here again.
Hi, my people weren't talking in my room.
Oh, Tanya, well, Latanya, come over here. Want to share your story?
Sure. I was just reminiscing about this the other day with some coworkers of mine about when I moved from one school to another school, elementary school, and I was the new girl on the block, and we walked to school every day, and I used to get picked on every day. My story is kind of like yours, John. It was maybe I shouldn't have done it, but I had to do it type thing. But I got picked on every day by 3 sisters because I was the new kid, and I would go home crying to my mother because these kids were picking on me every day. And so one day I came home crying to my mom, and she told me, she said, if you come home one more day crying without having defended yourself, you're going to have me to deal with. Well, I was more afraid of my mama than I was of all 3 of those girls put together. So the next day, when we were walking home from school, this guy that had a crush on me held the older sister back from being able to engage, and I beat those 2 younger sisters up that day.
And did it work?
It worked. But then, John, I kind of liked having that power. So after that, my mom, if I wasn't home by a certain time of the day, my mom would send my dad to look for me because she thought I may be down the street fighting or something.
Good. Thank you so much, Latanya, for sharing that. You know, that's one of those things too. Like you know, with every power you have, right, comes responsibility. And
right.
That's the difference between, I think, quote unquote, bad people and good people is you got a conscience, right?
Right.
Yeah. Perfect.
Right.
Anybody else? Let's see. Thank you for, all right, Latanya. All right, Mary, want to try again, Mary? Let's try your mic and see if we got one on.
There's just one of me now.
Yay. Okay, go ahead.
I'm trying to think. I was the youngest in my family.
Yeah.
I don't have a success story, but I was probably an oops kid, even though nobody ever said that. And
I'm an oops kid too. I'm the last. There were 4. It was supposed to be the last, right? And then 4 years later, bam, me.
Yes, 4 years later. Guess what?
What?
Anyway, so they were kind of, you know, they were already there, and the parade already started with them. So then I came along, but you know, they kind of still wanted their in group, so they said, well, no, now Mary's in school, so now we can write in cursive, and she won't know what we're saying.
Cursive?
So the moral of that story is I learned cursive pretty fast.
Ricky can teach you. Beautiful cursive. Thank you so much, Mary.
Uh-huh.
All right, we have a few of our others. So we got Marlene with us who joined us. Marlene or Diana, if you're there. I know Marnie said she was on the phone. No? Yes? No? How about, we'll go to Karen. Karen's thinking.
I don't, my brain has to buffer.
You see that? I love that you were that in the chat. You were going, I can see somebody's brain buffering. That what
yeah, I mean, you can literally see the circles just going around. Hold on, let me broadcast the message. So we have just over a minute left. We're gonna pretend that it's
90 seconds.
Exactly 1 minute, because it'll count down quickly. Something from childhood. I fell a lot. A very clumsy child. Always had bruises, always had scraped knees. I knocked myself off my bike one time and knocked myself out. I've flown over handlebars.
Wow.
I've slammed on the pedals so fast that my leg slipped, and I've run over my own foot. I don't know why my parents let me ride my bike, honestly, after so long, but That's a little, we'll call it a quirk.
That's good. Did you watch the video of Michelle Cummings trying to ride her bike without training wheels? Have you actually seen that? Yeah, it's hilarious. All right, we
And
got
we're
about
down to 30 seconds.
30 seconds left. Good to see you, Brigitte. What's happening with you? Good things, I hope. You look beautiful today, of course.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I have an 8:30 to 11:30 homeschool group that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then this afternoon I have an AP Physics, I have a Latin class, I have 2 kids from Beijing tonight because their schedule is weird. So I'm working more now than I was 40 years in a public school room.
All right, here comes everybody.
But you're all talk, girl, no reason. But baby, it's okay, we're even. Keep on leaving. Say, do you remember?
Know that song. All right, I'd love to hear anybody from the gallery. I hope you enjoyed that breakout room. Can anybody share an insight or something that they learned? I'm just going to take 1 or 2 before we head to break. Can somebody, what did you get from that breakout room? Did you experience that deeper part? There we go, I see Anne. Go ahead, Anne.
So Donna told me a personal story and I immediately felt closer to her and had feelings for her as a person, you know, when she told me her story. It was like, oh, wow. You know what I'm saying?
Got it. Excellent. Hold on, let me see. I'll bring myself back up here with you. There we go. And I think I see Latia. Latia, let's see. I might bring you up here with me too. All right.
Hey,
what did you get from your
I mean,
breakout What did you get from your breakout room?
So I was in a group with Sister C, and I wonder if you could bring her up because we had a wonderful connection. Just about something that so many connections happen so fast that if we could bring her up, that would be wonderful for us to be able to share space as well.
Sister C in the house. What up, Sister C?
Yes. So I don't know if you want to say something, Sister C.
Oh, the story that he gave about his uncle was really humorous, and then it made me think of something about my grandmother. And we had this discovery that we were interested in some of the herbal things that we were learning and pursuing, but also just the value for family. I could just see the way he told the story, how much his family enjoyed getting together, and some of their customs, and then how they tease this uncle. But it made me feel safe, and in telling my story.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Sister C, and thank you, Latia. You know what? This is really one of the keys too. Is look how we can do this on virtual, right? We're humans, right? We're designed to connect, and the pandemic, in some ways, we're starving for connection, and so, but we can actually do things that we can't normally do, which is connect with people around the world, right? And so, if you're missing this level of connection and depth, again, as the host, look for different ways to show these types of connections. And oh my gosh, let me just share, in one of the last conferences I was in, there was a gentleman, it was Philadelphia, it was 2 nonprofits, and he came in there and he got put in a breakout room, and it turned out that one of the women in the breakout room saved his life. Wow. He was the executive director for a nonprofit that got him out of a trouble spot that he was in 15 years ago, and he had not seen her.
Wow.
It was like we couldn't ask for it. It was truly magical. I'll take 2 more. I got Ruth and Donna. So let's bring up Ruth. There you go. Go ahead.
I met with Manon, and Manon falls right into your talk. She's in Vienna, Austria, attending your conference. And it was wonderful to meet her. The story that she told connected something from her childhood to what she does present day, and I could see the energy from her and her excitement about it, and it was just wonderful meeting her in that short little breakout room session on the little story that she told. So thank you very much, Manon, for sharing that.
Thank you, Ruth and Manon. And Lenara.
Same to you, Ruth. Thank you.
Wait, what time is it there? We all want to know.
Oh, it's late. It's 10 to 9.
late o'clock. Okay, excellent. Thank you, Manon. And Donna, Donna Gintz, what did you get?
Yes, I just wanted to let you know, I shared with Anne, who spoke earlier, and I did find out that something in her childhood actually ignited her passion for something that she's doing now with her business. So that was really exciting to see. And just a quick comment, since we're discussing this, even though we're virtual now, if we go back into the regular business, don't forget about those people and maintain those connections with the people that are continuing to stay virtually for various reasons. So I feel more connected now than I felt before the pandemic, because I was virtual for 2 years before. Yeah. And I actually have a better relationship with all my team members now than I ever did. And afterwards, we're going to be sharing a lot more and doing a lot more things virtually. So just a little comment on that. Don't forget about us that are still staying virtual.
Thank you so much, Donna. You know, for me personally too, I'm closer to my family. Right? I started a Sunday Zoom that I think we since moved because we're a bunch of late nighters. But you know, in the beginning of the pandemic, you know, one of our things about our family is that a lot of times we don't call each other for whatever reason, right? But our family is actually really great in a crisis, right? Like my mom had this challenge, one of her caretakers was actually taking stuff from her. And so, like, if you've never seen 5 kids jump in so fast, right? And we took care of it. Like, actually, she escaped, left the country, right? Because we started chasing her. And so, you know, those are the kind of things that happen. And the pandemic was like that too. So I made sure that was one of the things that I did as the youngest brother, is saying, here's what can I do? And I said, well, let's just join us together. And I set up that so we could just meet and find out what's happening, because we're all in different cities and states, and everything, as you can tell in this pandemic, has been different in every city and state. And so we stayed connected with that. So the last thing I want to do here is this. So I wanted to make sure that you show that we got an example of going deeper, right? And that you remember there's one key point: psychological safety. That in this 45 minutes, we created psychological safety. And what I want to do is just close with this last story. And the story goes like this, right? Maya Angelou, of course, has this famous quote. And I hope this is something you remember. One of my courses, there was a Japanese woman named Yoshi. And when she logged into the class, she logged in a few minutes early. She goes, Mr. Chen, I just wanted to let you know that I will have my camera off during this class and I won't be speaking. Thank you. I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine, Yoshi, that's fine, whatever you want. See, again, everything is fine, right? So later on in the class, when we were going through it, at some point, she started chatting. I'm like, Yoshi started chatting? I thought she said she wasn't going to chat. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I said, thank you, Yoshi, for that. And then later on, as you've seen, you know, in my opening part, we did that poem. We did a shared poem. When she came back from the shared poem, we looked at her poem. She had written 75% of the lines out of a team of 8. And then she read her poem, and so I got a chance to talk to her. I'm like, Yoshi, what? You did 75% of these lines. You know, what's going on with this? Why did you write the 75% of the lines? And she goes, Mr. Chen, I just wanted to let you know that writing is my passion. So I'm so glad that we got to write a poem. And so, yes, I got excited and wrote all the lines. Thank you. And so that's what I'm talking about. She went from camera off, disengaged, to chatting, right? Then talking. And at the end, she had her camera on. So with that, I just want to say thank you. It looks like we have 23 of the cameras on with that. So again, I want to say thank you. I hope that you got something here about learning how to turn on the cameras. And the whole thing about it in the cameras is that you can't make anybody turn on the cameras. But if you make it safe enough, right, then they can turn on the cameras on their own. They'll be inspired to turn on their camera on their own for whatever reason. And again, the goal is not really to turn the cameras on. The goal is really to have somebody who's engaged. So with that, I want to say thank you.